Hello and welcome to the Vault Dwellers Podcast. I hope this podcast is finding you well. What this podcast is about is two friends talking about all the things that they love: gaming, movies, TV, and kind of everything in between. Hobbies, mental health, you name it, we'll talk about it. I am your host, Gary Moore, one part of the Vault Dwellers. And the other half is Mr. Mac. Hello, Mr. Mac.
Hello. What's good, mate? What's good? I'm quite glad we're doing this one. We're actually recording this before episode 2 drops, so I never thought we'd actually get this productive with
No, I
something like
didn't think
this.
so either.
Honestly, it was just something that one of the things is like, oh, listen, what we're doing on Friday? Let's just bang out another episode, and it's not even like, oh, quick, let's record as many episodes as possible, and then just so that we've got this big. It's literally like, I really want to record another episode. Like, which one can
Yeah,
we
yeah,
choose out of these ideas that
yeah.
we've got? So, I'm happy to be back in here, and we've got so much to probably unpack from last week's episode that we won't obviously go too much into because it's heavily spoiler like orientated,
Chunky.
and it is a chunky one. I think just over 3 hours when it was all said and done, and everything was all added onto it and stuff. So pretty meaty compared to the other one. So we don't really anticipate that people. Well, we'd hope that people would give the full thing a listen, obviously, but we don't really anticipate that people will keep up maybe with it, in terms of they'll be listening to that, and then they'll have 2 weeks to listen to it right enough. So maybe people will, other than our hoodie, our number one fan.
he will listen to it 4.4 billion times by the time next episode
That's
comes out.
exactly it. Gangnam Style, we're coming for you. Let's.
We've got it.
so so obviously, we've kind of touched on that briefly there. The previous episodes that we've done, and specifically the very last episode that we just done, where we spoke about our top PS4 games, top favorite games. Sorry, top 10 favorite games that we played on the PS4. So pretty specific pretty specific criteria. Sorry, that we set for ourselves, and I thought it was actually really fun. And I know you did as well. In fact, I think you came out quite more positive than I did, didn't you?
Yeah, no, it was a really good exercise. I think the exercises are always quite good. Try to fit in a top 10. As I said, you can always that list would change daily, but no, it was really good, and I think it was a good couple of shocks between us. Like I didn't realise some of the games would be on your list, and I'm sure you didn't expect some of them on my list. And it was really interesting. I'm actually quite glad we done it. It was. I'm quite excited to listen to it because I've not heard it yet, so I'm looking forward to it when it actually comes out.
Yeah, that's the strange thing. Obviously, me kind of doing the editing side of it, I listen to it virtually right away, so I can go through it, and obviously take out some of the pauses that we had between. We obviously announced each of the numbers as we were going, which I thought was actually quite a nice touch. That was something that you came up with, so I'm quite
Yeah.
glad that you came up with that, because I think it's good for people to be able to go, right, okay, I'm at number this, I'm at number that, and kind of follow along, rather than lose track of it. So I was quite happy with done that.
Especially when you're listening to it, because I think sometimes a lot of podcasts forget that because they're videoing it as well. I think they forget that people on there actually they don't they're one doing one or the other. Where I think you just need that audio cue. I think, which I think definitely will help. What did you think of the episode anyway?
I enjoyed it. Even, listening to it was strange though, because even though it was me speaking, I didn't remember half of the conversation. So it's quite strange to listen to something again that you don't actually, you don't remember it. But I don't think I really appreciated that when people are recording podcasts, they're just speaking, and that's what we're doing now. We're just speaking to each
Mm.
other, and that's, even touching on that, to take a quick tangent. I was in Wax and Moon's Twitch channel, our good friend Natalie, obviously, and she'd mentioned the podcast. She'd listened to the first one on her way back and forward for work, which it was, nice to hear, obviously. And the same kind of comment that we receive from everybody. Basically, it's just two pals, and that's really what we're aiming for here. It's just two pals. We used to stream on Twitch on Friday nights, and that was the whole, not the whole gimmick, because it's not a gimmick. It's just two pals talking, and she kind of said like it's quite clear. We've got a good rapport. You go back and forward, and that's kind of what our appeal is with the, obviously, bumming ourselves up or anything like that. Like we're doing this because it's a passion project and something that we've wanted to do for a long time. So I think obviously having that kind of feedback and knowing that that's what people are clicking with is quite refreshing. So hearing us go back and forward when I'm listening to kind of edits and stuff, it's quite good to hear, because it makes for easy podcasting when you already kind of get on with the person, and you can talk a lot of nonsense any given day of the week.
Yeah, no, it's been nice. You've been giving me all the kind of feedback everybody's been giving you. It's really nice actually. You just hear. I mean, it's just we're so like you're amateurs and you doing stuff like this, and it's so nice to only have one episode out and people are already giving you compliments for your work, and it's nice to have a passion project that people are going, this is good.
Aye, I know.
It
Wait till they hear the
makes
second episode, but because
aye.
then no feedback needed. Just wait till you hear this one. So that's exactly exactly it. It's good to hear. It's really good
Yeah.
to hear. And speaking of this episode, obviously we've not touched on it quite yet, but this episode is going to be something we actually put us on the board quite early for speaking about, and we've titled it "Game of Life" or "The Game of Life." Basically, we've got both his very busy lives, and yourself. Obviously, you've got two kids as well, so
Yeah.
a lot of this podcast is probably going to be focusing on that in particular, especially parenting. How do you fit the games in? How do you fit other hobbies and stuff like that in? And that's kind of where we are with this episode. Obviously the thought behind it is really just compared to the first episode, which was Origins and how we played games and everything else. This kind of is a good opposite to that. Is to right, we're here now. How are we actually? How are we gaming now? We are good
Yeah.
avid gaming fans. We listen to a lot of podcasts when we can, but you kind of fit them in over the top of existing things, cleaning or stuff like making a meal, that kind of thing. But when it comes to actually playing games, are supposed to be number one hobby. Really, how do you fit that in? Obviously, compared to back in the day, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the best place to maybe start and putting our Gary on the spot. Two kids, two kids on. How do you find the time, or maybe the best place to start is how did you find the time? Obviously, you've got two kids now, so back you did actually touch on it last week's episode with Red Dead, and it took you a few months to play Red Dead, where you really wouldn't have done that before. But in terms of now, or when you had your first kid, what was the score with that? How did you manage to fit that in?
Aye, so when you have your first kid, it's chaos as you can imagine. It's you get pregnant. Obviously, I didn't get pregnant. My wife got pregnant. Um,
Off
it's
to a
it's
smashing start, man.
it's one of
When
the
I
kind of
got pregnant, it
things.
was really hard.
Labour was actually fine for me. It was
It
great.
was so easy, man. It
Scoosh.
was like a breeze.
So you kind of have your first way, and I always say this to everybody. You can never be prepared, especially for a guy. I think it's very strange because obviously a woman has that kind of bodily change. For a guy, kind of you see a picture and you can see your wife getting a bump, but um, actually, it's not until she has the kid and then they go like, "Here you go, take it home with you," and you're like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? How am I supposed to look after this thing? Nobody's gave me instructions. Has this come with an
Excuse
instruction
me,
manual?
is
I
there a
want a
tutorial for this?
I want a receipt and I want an instruction manual." But I know when we first brought, I mean, it's chaos at the start. You've not got a clue. Everybody's trying to help you. You're totally knackered. So I mean, your first kind of month or two is absolutely just you've got nothing else apart from that baby. That's all you're doing. But after that, Witcher came out. Actually, Witcher 3.
Oh, sorry,
It's a game.
that's my bad.
Aye,
I get the games mixed up there.
that's all right. Witcher 3, that was the game that came out just as Orla was born, so I bought it and I never played it for maybe a month or two. And then I started it, and I would start it when Orla would always go to sleep, so obviously babies nap multiple times during the day. So I'd always just try and sneak in a wee hour or two every day, and I did that for about 4 months.
Were you playing like lullabies and stuff like that, like try to
Aye.
induce sleep
Yeah,
anytime
literally,
possible?
any time it would be like, even if you get up during in the middle of the night and all that, and you'd be like, you know what, I'll just put a wee bit of Witcher on just to keep myself occupied and get her back to sleep and stuff like that. It was just any wee moment. And Witcher, I always think it is a good memory. Maybe people wouldn't like that playing an RPG that's 150 hours split over 4 months. But it was such a nice memory actually. I think like I had a new wee baby and just starting my family, and I had a game that was kind of this companion to follow that through as well. You know, even when I've played Witcher recently again, I obviously didn't play it the same. Played it a lot more intense, but just going back to it, I just like this is just such happy memories that I just will never forget with this game.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
link. There's a link there now for you, like a natural link between two things. A lot of people speak about sensory stuff in terms of right, okay, a smell
yeah,
or a certain
a
sound or
song or
whatever.
something like
But
that. Aye.
exactly, but to have a game and over that course of time, and you be able to kind of reflect about certain parts of that game or whatever, and that's it kind of makes
Yeah.
you think about your firstborn. I think there's something kind of special about that.
Yeah, see, I mean, you've played the game, and it's got to be light spoilers here. But see that mission with the bloody Baron and the
Yep,
botchling baby. I,
yep.
I don't think I've ever cried at a game before, and I cried at that, and
Aye.
it's just cause you've got a brand new baby, and
I mean, you've just
you're
gave
to
birth,
hide it
so
all.
you know what I
I
mean.
just gave birth, I'm surprised I was still in one piece, to be honest.
Emotions are running high, hormones everywhere.
So I that even that part just had totally different. And the Witcher was kind of my first kind of experience with gaming through my first having a child. And then kind of after that, I don't think I really having one child. I wouldn't say changed gaming a lot for me, because like when she went to bed, then I could just stay up. I mean, I suppose that was a wee bit different. I wouldn't really game during the days much anymore. It would always kind of be I would stay up. She would go to bed at like 8 or 9, and then I'd stay up for another couple of hours and just play. So that's kind of the way I've been kind of playing PlayStation now for the last 5 years, 6 years now. That's kind
Yeah,
of but it's quite hard because yourself, you're going to work and stuff, and it's like 20 a day. Do you either stay up a couple hours and
yeah.
be
Get some
tired?
you time. I get some you
I
time, or do you get that early night and miss out on that time because
Yep,
you're trying to stay fresh and put that aside. But I think everybody does need some me time, but it's just trying to fit that in, and it's a hard balance, especially if you know that everybody needs sleep, but if you need sleep like even more, and then obviously I know we obviously don't need to get into specifics clearly, but I know obviously in the first fair amount of time with your firstborn, it was need a few times where she wasn't well and was up through the night, and
yep,
we would have like a gaming session, and it would just I don't know, she must have known honestly, or something, but we would be like up till like 1 in the morning, and then she would be up at like 3, and just keep you up as if
yep,
that it was
yep,
like planned sabotage, like how dare you stay up late and play games, like
yeah,
you're gonna suffer for this one. So I think just trying to get fit time in was obviously something. I mean, even when we tried to play, and we'll touch on it later, but when we were trying to, try to set up like multiplayer games or try to say like what game are we going to play together, it's hard to tune that in or make everything line up for us. So that was something that you pick up on quite quickly, because it's like, right, I'll be on, and you have to try and book time in rather than just on nonchalantly coming home from work and shoving on a game after you've had your dinner. But you had a wee setup and you had something going, and then you end up having another wedding. So the second wedding comes along, and it's just even less time. So what's if you noticed any kind of major differences, or is it just, do you think that because you've not been through that, but because you've already got your your chunk of time set out, and it doesn't really probably impact you, quite as much in terms of at night, 'cause it's just when the two of them go down, which obviously takes a bit longer as well. But in terms of like obviously through the day and stuff like that, did you notice much of a difference when you had the kind of two of them, or was the first one at a certain age that they're self-sufficient and it's really just one to deal with at that point?
I think during COVID, it didn't really change much. Was when I had my second. So obviously everybody was in lockdown, everybody was off, nobody was going to work. Well, me and my wife were still going to work because we work for the NHS, but like we were going to work, but my children obviously weren't going to nursery or anything like that. So like you still got gaming time, and my oldest was, as you said, she was old enough she was kind of self efficient. She just went and played, did whatever she wanted to do. And again, he was obviously just a baby, so he was sleeping during the day and stuff like that. So I was gaming in then, but after kind of lockdown lifted for, I don't know, the third time or something like that, she was starting school, so it was a lot harder then. I think a lot of the time you would maybe stay up for that couple of hours, just to have your kind of me time and your PlayStation time. I wasn't doing it as much anymore because I know I had to get up and get ready and do the school run, and then you have to deal with the wee man. And the opposite end of that, it's a busy life when you've got the two. I think my gaming definitely in the last year has declined. Like we used to always look at the end of gaming, the PlayStation things. Remember, they always
Yeah,
come at the end of year, and me and you would always like show each other ours, and I would always have like something ridiculous like 2,000 hours. Like
aye,
I think
40 million trophies and all that.
I think last year I had like 200 hours. It was something like so poor.
It's hard to know, reflect on that, because it's obviously, I mean, you've got kids now, and it's obviously brilliant. I know that's not the direction that we're taking on this. We're not saying anything different. We're not saying you can't play games either. There's loads of people that have proved otherwise, yourself included, and it's just it's different. That's all.
It's just trying to make your time, Like nowadays, I'm like, right, I've got maybe one or two. No, I've got two, maybe 3 nights I can stay up and just play computer. Maybe one of the nights I'm going to pay for it the next day, but it might be worth it. Like Friday, we always kind of have Friday earmarked for like me and yourself. We'll play games, or well, now we're starting to do this podcast, which is always kind of. It's always kind of penned in, but I like the night. I'm like, "Aye, Sean, I'll be on at 9:30," and then I'm about an hour and a half later.
It was perfectly scripted. Like it's I'm sitting there and I'm like, right, I'm I think it was like what 9 o'clock. I think I stopped. We were watching the Blacklist, and I was like, right, okay, I better pause this because there's only half an hour until Gary said that he would be on. I better go upstairs, and I came up here and I made a quick edit to last week's podcast, episode 2. And then I was, sitting on Twitch and stuff, and then I just get the WhatsApp message, running late, damn Wayne's, perfect for this, perfectly timed for this episode, and it just absolutely was. Like there's no writing that, you can't time that kind of thing.
Nah.
And it's just
Comedic timing is always my children.
Exactly, just refusing to go down, and it doesn't, obviously this doesn't bother me. We start when we start, and if we didn't start at all, then it's just go next week or go tomorrow or whatever. But I think that's a good thing to do, is to just try and like fit something in. But I think it helps that the two years run quite not the same kind of lives. But we obviously I work kind of long hours and then come home, and obviously after dinner I'll go to the gym, have dinner and stuff, and then you want to spend time obviously with the other half, and then you sometimes, if it's 9 o'clock or whatever, depending on the mood you're in, you might want to go up and play some games, or you might just feel like watching the TV, and it's so easy just to sink back into the chair or go upstairs and kind of lie in your bed and just chill out watching a TV show or whatever, because there's not really too much set up or try to get your mind into something. Plus, as you say there, see, like, try to stay up, or not trying to stay up because you can stay up, but it's suffering, or that you're going to suffer the next day. So that's kind of where I try and kind of balance stuff in. I like obviously when dealing with streaming and stuff over the last year and change, it was really try to carve time out for that. And when I was doing it on like a schedule, it was a bit easier because it was like, right, okay, Mondays, and I think it was like Tuesday, Thursday, Friday or something like that, is what because we would stream together on the Friday, but it was like Tuesday, Thursdays, that's my streaming days, and it's going to start at 8:30, and inevitably it would be a wee bit close at 8:45. Just by the time we'd finished doing what we were doing, and then come up and you play games, and then you'd be streaming for say 2 hours, and that's like close to 11 o'clock by that point. And then you're speaking to people, if you're ready, just reading to somebody, you're speaking to them, and sometimes I was staying up and like taking if we were playing a horror game, you would make clips of all the jump scares, so I'd download all them, and I'd just be excited to get that out onto YouTube. So I would be sitting, just quickly try to do that, just pulling them all together and just try to do something to get it out there. Cause just play like, oh, come, go and see this, or just to make a memory, actually, to be honest. But before you know it, it's after 12 and you've got 6 hours of sleep to fit in. So it's just so easy nowadays to be like, do you know what, gaming's for the weekend. But I think you and me suffer from the exact same thing, where it's like, right, well, but no on a Sunday, because Sundays go by too quick and we have to like savor every minute of it. And then Saturdays is for like, right, let's go out and go and do something,
catch up with family and stuff.
Exactly. So it becomes kind of Saturday night and Friday night is the kind of main event. So I think that's really that's where we've kind of carved our time out. And that's for me, that's about as much as I can kind of manage at the minute. I lived, obviously, during COVID. There was a time that I was starting a wee bit later, getting into work a wee bit later, so I could afford to stay up a wee bit later. So it meant coming home, getting dinner out the road, and then just sitting on the PlayStation, trying to play as many games as possible. I think in 2020, I think it was probably one of the
these productive years.
Exactly. I had a list. Gary slags me for this list, but I had a list of games, and the idea was that I wanted to do was a list of games I wanted to complete before getting a PS5, before even looking at getting a PS5. But I think it quickly became a list of what games I'm playing next, and fitting that in obviously was fine when it was COVID and you weren't doing anything at the weekends, and you were working a wee bit different in terms of shifts and whatever else. But see, as soon as like everything came back and we would come back into work at full force, like, you'd be lucky if like last year I completed half of the amount of games that I'd done. It's very, very strange trying to fit a hobby in that brings you a lot of joy when you are too busy doing other things. It's still important to fit that in, though. And then obviously, I don't count my hobby as different from gaming because it is so closely tied to it, and it's Twitch streaming. But like I mentioned to you earlier the day, it's not that I'm I'm playing games that I don't want to play, but it's playing games that work better as a stream
Yeah,
as
yeah,
opposed to playing a game that I'm enjoying playing. Everybody always says that play a game that you like playing. You're like, play any game is on stream. People, as long as you're having fun, people would like to watch. But it's not always true, and it's not always what I want out of it.
no,
People might be enjoying just having me on in the background or whatever, but sometimes you kind of crave a wee bit of engagement, or the jump scare stuff when you're playing a horror game is
yeah,
probably some of the kind of best streams we've had, other than
yeah.
the co-op ones that we done. But it's just different.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's watching Twitch, just no, just yourself, but watching other people as well.
Oh,
Like
hold on a
there's
wee minute
some.
here. You watch other people?
Oh no, I didn't mean that. I mean just MrMac 92. No, you're right, but some games just don't they just don't like cross over as like a Twitch game. I don't know what it is. I can't even really put my finger on it because there's some games that I've said to you, oh, that'll be amazing. Then you try it, and I'm like, that must be good. How is that no good for a Twitch game? Like I don't
Yeah,
understand. But there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just sometimes games just only good Twitch games, and that's how it is.
yeah. So obviously, speaking of hobbies, we would be remiss to mention that you obviously started a hobby. I think start of 2021, wasn't it, with painting?
Yeah, 2021. Yeah. I started painting in 2021. It's always something I've always kind of liked art. I've never actually ever did art. I did it in like high school, but got told not to take it. So that was
Listen,
always
son, you'd be
smashing.
better off in the wood shop.
I get to craft and daft. I know I've always liked that. Like when I've been to like Rome and I've been to like Greece and stuff, and like I always like going to like art museums and stuff. Siobhan's not interested in that whatsoever. She's one of the people that's like, oh, look at the sculptures, but she just walked by all the art, and I'm like, you joking? Well, look at this picture. And I wouldn't say I'm not a snob. I'm not like a person that can pull out names and be like, oh, this picture by this person, but I
Yeah,
just see a picture and I just like I like that. Like
yeah,
I don't know what it is. It just pure speaks to me.
yeah.
So I kind of supported a local artist in Glasgow area, and I was buying a few of his works, and then I just thought to myself one day, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try that.
Aye, why not?
So during COVID, like everybody else, decided to get a new hobby, and I painted. So also try to fit that in. I think that's also was a reason why my gaming took a good bashing in the
Well,
last year.
there's a lot of work in it. Obviously, we're
Yeah.
going to have to do a separate deep dive into the process and everything else that comes with that in terms of
Mhm.
the painting and stuff. But with there being like multiple days of just preparing, or multiple sessions, I should say, it's not like Van Gogh
Mhm.
slaving out his painting for days at an end to try for Gary. But
Mhm.
just the whole idea of trying to carve out, your night that you carved it for gaming, suddenly your research, what I mean, or the
Yep.
doing your kind of outlines and stuff, and then your painting, and then finishing and all that stuff. So, in terms of fitting in a hobby and also doing that, do you think gaming just you were happy enough, obviously, to take a backseat just because of the passion? Similar to this, like I'm happy enough the fact that right, okay, I'm maybe not playing a game, but it's not like, oh no, I'm not playing a game tonight because I'm recording this podcast. Like, I mean, I might say that to other people, but I'll not say that to you.
Aye. No, I think it.
That was a joke. And you just moved right past it. As if I was being serious.
What a prick.
Aye. You're like, listen, fair play, actually. That's a good day.
I know, yeah, no, you're right. Like, I think during COVID, because it was a new hobby, I say it's like same with you doing your Twitch. You were just obsessed with it. Like I was the same with my painting. I was like, do you know what? I don't need to go on my PlayStation. Also, it helped that I didn't have a PlayStation 5 at the time.
Oh,
As
aye,
well.
aye.
I
It's
was
that
like,
old antique,
aye.
antique.
Cyberpunk broke my good PlayStation 4, and I was left with my original PlayStation 4, which sounded like a jet engine every time I turned it
Boo,
on.
boo.
Absolutely shocking. So painting just kind of took all that kind of time for gaming really. I think the only times I really played the games was like when we were playing like a few multiplayer games with yourself. But I think with painting as well, I think people always just think. I mean, you watch people on Instagram and like they paint and they're like in 3 seconds and they've painted this full picture, and you're like, how do you even do that?
Mate, they're
Obviously, is
speeding that up. Don't you give them credit? They just went and sped that up. I know what they're doing. It's so they can fit them in their story. That's not how they actually do it.
But there's a lot of prep going into it. You know, as you said, you need to draw it, then you need to paint it, and sometimes you can't paint over it. You need to let the stuff dry and
Or
whatever
for my case,
else.
I just carry paint. So,
But it's do you know, I felt bad this year because I've probably not painted as much this year as I did last. I mean, I painted a lot last
you're
year.
too busy painting my painting for 3 years.
Because somebody always wants detailed paintings.
Listen, you offered that painting. I never asked for it.
I'm probably not painting as much this year. Well, but I've got a PlayStation 5 as well, so that kind of took the shine off my painting. But I did feel bad at the start of the year. But then I'm like, do you know what? It'll come and go. It's not like I'm not going to forget how to paint. You know, it's a hobby, and don't feel it's not a job. You know, I'm no. It's no for money. It's just a hobby. Just don't worry about it. Yeah, it'll come and go. Just like PlayStation came and went last year, you know. But it's try to struggle. You struggle. I mean, the struggle is maybe a harsh word, but you try to struggle with try to
I think juggling,
juggle.
exactly, spot on.
Juggling everything.
Juggling is the best kind of way to describe it. I think juggling and planning, as much as you probably don't think that you plan, but I think even on a subconscious level, you plan your time. And I think just like what you say to me, when I feel like playing FIFA again, like I have a terrible thing where if I play FIFA, that's me, goodbye the rest of my gaming collection. I am in this generally until I've finished a full season, maybe two,
Mm-hmm.
and then who knows after that. It's just one of the things. But like you said, if you're feeling it, go for it. That's just something that you've always mentioned to me is, do you know
Aye.
what, play what you feel like then and do what you feel like then, because you don't know that if you force yourself to do one thing, you could end up, you come out the other side and you're like, right, okay, I've done that, but I really don't want to do that again now for a while. I'm scunnered,
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
scunnered with that. I'm just going to go and do something else now. And then it just kind of ruins that balance between the two of them. I think we probably do have a better balance than most people. I know a lot of people kind of struggle to keep up, and they probably think, I listen to these two, like, they play games 2 or 3 times a week. I don't even get to play, but it's different for everybody, and
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
wish that you could just go back in time and just really appreciate, like what we were speaking about earlier, appreciate the time that you had when you were younger.
Aye.
Back in the kind of school days, you'd come home from school, you'd kid on, you were doing your homework, you'd do your homework,
What's
and
homework?
then you'd get the computer on, and you wouldn't even need to wait. Your man would bring you dinner or say to you, "Oh, dinner." You pause the game and you run away and do that. That's your games would just be right up to the point that you were going to your bed. So I think
Mm-hmm.
there's just a big chalk and cheese difference between what you done now to what you done then. I mean, you must be the same. You get in and you've just been thinking about playing a game
Yeah. Yeah.
all day. And when I say
Yeah.
that, does a certain game come to your mind, by because a game just sits right in my head? What game I was thinking about what to do for the full school day, and then I get home and I'm like, I'm just going to sit and play this all night, man.
Call of Duty.
That's a good shout, actually. I was, it was weird because I was thinking my first thought of the thing that was implanted in my brain was San Andreas,
Oh right. Oh,
because that
you went a bit further back.
I went further back. I went
Ah
really
right.
further
Okay.
back because we have obviously, a wee peek behind the curtains here. We don't just sit down and talk a lot of nonsense. They have a Google Doc that we worked to, and the two of us were kind of having a wee run through what we were doing. We wanted to kind of go back and speak about a few things. So multiplayer was on the list. So that's why Gary's went straight in there with the multiplayer games. But the two of us obviously have quite an affinity. In fact, why don't
Yeah.
you tell the listeners here what happened in terms of school when Saran came out? Gary's
I don't
looking
know
at
what
me
you're
with
talking
this
about.
like total empty void look, but when San Andreas came out, Gary tells me, I'm sure he tells me, because either that he's forgot or maybe I'm misremembering, but Gary took time off school
Oh, I did.
to
Oh,
go.
that's right. I did.
Was it not a few days?
I went. I just told my mum. I was literally like, "My mum, I'm going. I'm half sick. I'm going half sick in school." And she's like, "No, you're not." And I'm like, "I am. Like, you've not got a choice. I am not going to school." So I think it came out on the Friday, and I was off on the Friday and in the Monday. And I was like, "I'm not going to school."
Long weekend, San Andreas
I
time.
give myself a wee long weekend. My mum was just like, "Do you know what? Whatever."
Did you beat it?
uh,
Or was it like, did you get quite
Aye,
far?
definitely. I would have bet. Sean, do you remember me back in the day?
No, I
Sean
just
used
mean
to
over a
always.
long weekend. Would you beat it on a long weekend?
Aye, I would have.
Aye.
Aye, definitely. Aye. Sean, do you remember the days that I would just to get a new game and Sean would be like, it'd be like the Friday and then the Sunday, would be like, so you completed it yet? And I'd be like,
Aye.
yep.
Aye. He wouldn't even do that. He'd be like, hurry up and complete this so I can tell you about it. And then I would have like a time limit to try and play the rest of the game. Like, he'd be like, so we like Red
You're
Dead
going to
1.
Tuesday.
He'd be like, right, how far are you? And I'm like, I've not really started it. And then he'd be like, right, well, you've got until like a few weeks' time because I want to talk to you about the end. And I never even beat Red Dead 1. Like, I never finished that game. Like, because I just wasn't really feeling it. Plus, I'm really bad I was really bad. Still am, actually, but even worse then, with just buying like new games. I obviously probably look at social media a lot more than you do, so maybe see a lot more games like coming out.
Yeah.
And I was just, I remember, I don't remember the game, but I remember there was like at least 2 or 3 other games that I'd like to look at, and obviously listening to, stuff on YouTube and stuff, people talking about different games. I'm like, oh, I really like the sound of this or whatever else. So I would be a wee bit more. I'm not talking about obviously at high school, but working and things like that, you would just be
Yeah.
buying as many games as possible.
Yep.
And in
It
terms
was
of obviously back
ridiculous.
then at high school, it was usually just Christmas, but when it was at work, it was like, right, what's next? What's the
Yep.
next game? And just buying loads and loads of games and not having the time to actually play through them. But
Yeah.
speaking about obviously work, that was probably the time that we started hitting the Call of Duties, the multiplayer
Yeah.
games. We won't specifically get into them because I'd like to keep that as a separate thing because we played a lot of multiplayer games. But for fast forwarding to now, in terms of like a multiplayer game, we have played a few games, couch co-op. That's probably the most we've played in terms of a multiplayer game, other than No Man's Sky. We've kind of jumped on here and there. But how do you think that we can, or what kind of game would it take for us to be able to actually make that time to play that? Because you play different times to me, so you really need a game that you can both play separately and together, don't you?
Yeah. I think the last time we really played, I would say, was Division 2.
That's a good shout.
That's
Aye,
probably the last game that we
I didn't
properly
think of
played,
that.
and as you said, that was a good game because it was a game that we could play separate and together. I think we tried Dying Light 1, but I always felt like I didn't want to go any further because I felt like I didn't want to see any more of this with you,
Yeah,
and it's hard to play that game once a week. I think it's mental, that game,
yeah,
um, to try to just play it, pick up once a week. But Division 2 is probably the last time that we probably properly played like co-op, a co-op game, like a serious co-op game.
yeah. We tried today. It Takes Two, and that again, just what you're saying there about only playing it once a week, because that was like a Friday game, and
Yeah,
obviously anybody playing that game, it is a good game, but it does go on a wee bit and
too long.
too long. And I was trying to play that once a week, for a few hours, because we're talking about 9 o'clock or whatever it is, 3 hours, maybe three if you're lucky, 4. You're playing that and you're trying to remember everything for the previous week, and you're obviously getting caught up with each other, and it's not so story heavy, but it was kind of system heavy. I think you need a game that you can kind of switch off, that's why I'm kind of looking forward to. Well, we kind of briefly spoke about it, but the idea of like Red Dead Online on the previous episode, and I have probably a small itch for that now in terms of like, why don't we re-download it and get another go, because it's just one of the things where it's like, right, okay, I could be on doing this or this, and then we just if we play it separately or going together, I think that's probably a lot to do on that. But what we've done with the Friday night gaming, do you think that's the kind of answer in terms of how to carve out that initial time?
Yeah, I think we always open that up, Dave. We always like, what day are we doing? Is it Friday or Saturday? But no, I think I don't really see how else we can really game, because during the week's not really. I mean, the word responsible was in my head there, but that sounds too adult.
Aye, definitely. Aye, you can't you can't get past that. The fact that, well, I think even though it's not even just, oh, it's through the week and I need to get up for work. Like I mentioned earlier, you're playing games one night and then you could watching Netflix or Prime or whatever the following few days, because you're like, oh, I really like to watch this TV show, and obviously we have other halves as well, so you try to spend kind of time with them too. So where you
Yeah,
gaming on a Friday, you maybe not be able to jump on the Saturday because you're watching a TV show, or you maybe be able to jump on a wee bit later because you've watched the show, and then maybe they're tired or they want to go and do something themselves. So you kind of end up carving out a wee bit of kind of extra time at that point. But I think just in terms of during the week, it's nothing bad that you're just not in the mood to play games. I think
nah,
that's
you're just too
just got to
busy
do it when you
nowadays, aren't
can.
you? It's just what it is, you know. I mean, I like, as we were saying a wee bit earlier when we were talking about when we were younger, but we were working. You know, you've no got the commitments, you've no got dependents and stuff. You just don't have that sort of responsibility.
Dependence. What age were you filling out forms in there? Dependence. That's the only time I've seen that being written down. Do you have any dependents? Like, no, I don't. Just give me
I
my
have
insurance.
two.
Just give me my insurance. Nobody depends on me. Just like, listen, put my payments down.
I just had to do my home insurance or something there, so that's why I was in my head.
Uh,
Um,
that's not a Gary word.
but I know it's very responsible, isn't it? But no, like when you were in your early 20s, you just stayed up. You stayed up till like 1 in the morning playing a game, and then you just went to work at like 6 in the morning. You were fine.
Aye, aye.
There was no repercussions. You weren't tired. You didn't feel it. But when you start to hit your late 20s, I think I definitely feel it. See, when I don't get like a full 8 hours now, next day I am grumpy, man. I am
Aye,
super grumpy
aye.
for all day.
I don't get like any mood changes or anything like that. Like I get up and I'm fine. Generally if I'm up late on the Saturday, I'll get up on the Sunday and I'll go into the shop matters. I still remain quite productive, but see, come like that 3-4 o'clock time, if I'm
Yeah, it's
sitting
slump,
watching the
man.
TV, like honestly, like I could soak right in to be on the cushion. To be honest, like just
Be
way
one with the
way.
chair.
I am the chair at that point. I'm just so tired. Like there's nothing that really helps. But I don't like to nap because I feel like it's like a waste of time. It was like wasting my Sunday because
Yeah,
I could have just went to bed early or something. But I'm like, no, I'm up now and I need to go and distract myself or whatever, and
yeah,
then just try and maybe go to bed early or something. But it's a weird thing trying to
yeah.
do
There
that
was
on
actually
sleep balance.
there was a game I actually wanted to try with both of us, and it was Outriders.
Oh, aye, good boy,
That was a
aye,
game I did want to actually try.
aye.
I think that looks good, and it's supposed to be. I think you can play it 1 and 2 player, so that would maybe a game, and it's sort of like Division. It's like Space
Hmm.
Division, isn't it? But that's a game I would like to try. I think the other games that we kind of try, we did try and we played, were like what, Fall Guys and Fortnite for a while,
Aye, we
and
did go into them. I actually forgot about Fall Guys, so because
mm,
obviously we created a list. Again, a peek behind the curtain here. We created a list for games that we played multiplayer together that we were going to kind of maybe research and dive into a few of them on another episode, but I completely forgot. Division 2, I don't think we wrote down, and we never wrote down Fall Guys either, and we played quite a lot of that actually, which
Aye, aye.
I completely forgot about. I think their games are really good and that they're quite simple. Obviously, Fortnite as well. We played a lot of that too with a couple of other friends, but we they were easy to jump into because there's no real progression. You're just jumping in and you're just playing it, and you're not really any different to the other person. You're just
Yeah,
exactly the same,
yeah.
the same level. But
I
in
think
terms of
what I think what I liked about Fall Guys and Fortnite, I know they're no great games. They're no great games, but it was just like basically having a lobby to just fart about in a game and just talk to your pals. That's what we used it for, didn't we?
that's a
That's
good
all we
point.
used it for. We didn't
Aye,
we weren't competitive. We weren't really that ball. Obviously, if Fall Guys you got to the last level, we're all like, right, come
here
on,
we go.
But we're not competitive. We just laughed at each other if we got like hit off in Fall Guys
Aye,
or the Fortnite. We're not like pure try to win. We just were there just to have a wee chat, just maybe even have a wee drink and just all be sitting
speak for
talking to each
yourself,
other.
man. I was raging all the time.
That's because I was the champion.
Nah, I've still got that Fall Guys. Look at the chart that we had there. It was like 5-1 or something.
I won.
Aye, right, aye. So we obviously have a good touch on multiplayers during this conversation. You would think that, this podcast, we're obviously trying to say this is how we fit gaming into busy lives. We
Yeah.
don't really play that much. We've played a good range of multiplayers. We don't play that much of them, so it's quite a contrast to what we're actually saying probably. But in terms of games, like the selection of games,
Mhm.
what to play, obviously when the mood's kind of right. But what do you think in terms of your your games? What games you pick to play now versus when, but back in the day you would maybe you'd maybe look at a game going, "Do you know, that looks alright. Actually, I'm just going to get that." Like, do you think it's just time based now, or do you think your tastes have changed as well?
Definitely, my taste has changed. In times, probably time and knowing that I don't have the time to play it has changed my taste because
Aye,
I know that I can't play. Like for example, I played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and that took me. I was only playing that game. Did they play another game, and that took me about 3.5 months. And it's a big commitment, a game like that, because it's like 150 hours to try to play, and also you're just trying to play it all smashed up. So I
do you think
think
knowing that is though? Do you think knowing a game is that length before you go in is the biggest put off, rather than playing the game and then thinking I've not got enough. I'm just not getting anywhere with this game. Like, do you?
do you know?
Would
It's
you prefer not to
funny.
know? Do you think?
No, it's funny actually. Do you know? I don't know what it is, but see nowadays I'm actually starting to look at that. I can't remember what a website's called. The
How
website you
how
can look
long to beat?
at how long to beat. That's it. How long to beat. I actually have been going on there to see,
Right.
and I don't know if that really changes a game that I'm going to play. I think I don't know what I don't know. I don't really know what my game selection is. Um, I think I think uh, the best thing for me, the new is I know people are like, I don't like sports games, but sports games are perfect right now for this time of my life.
Because it can be like
Just
10 minutes or 2 hours. Like you can literally just
yep,
jump on and go, "I'm going to play a game," and then something can happen. You're like, "Oh, do you know what? I better put this back off again."
yep,
So
exactly. It's
rather than
perfect for that.
a long commitment, because I think we try to play Valhalla. I was playing Valhalla while I was watching other people like streaming and stuff.
Yeah,
So I sank in easy 120, I think it was. I'm not entirely
mhm.
sure, but it was around that range anyway. Easily, because you're playing that for a few hours at night or at the weekend. You're doing some heavy sessions at the weekend,
Yep.
and it's easy to fit that kind of thing in, but it's still quite daunting. Even
Hmm.
when you're trying to think about or consider, like, am I going to am I going to want to play this game for that amount of time? Like, don't come at me or anything like that, the listeners. But Persona was a game like that for me where I played the first one and the first
Dungeon thing.
dungeon,
I
yeah,
know what you're talking about,
first
man.
person, whatever. And I was like, that was really good. And then it was like a lull, like a seat, like in FIFA when the season ends and you're just waiting for the next one, but you're just kind of skipping through. And I went, this isn't the way this game was intended to be played. That it's off
Yeah,
season for me at the minute. I should be doing X, Y, Z. I'm going to talk to this person. And I'm like, I don't really want to do that, so I'm just going to put this off now. I respect the game. I would love to go back and play it, but
yeah,
I know that it needs a minimum of 100x, hours to be able to
yep,
actually complete it. And I just don't have the time because I've got a few other commitments or a few different things, or I'm in the mood to game right now, but I really need to be playing different stuff because I only have a finite amount of time to game.
yeah. I think also with Persona, like I wanted to love that game, and I probably got to like maybe the third or fourth person, which probably about 40 hours in, and then I was just thinking to myself, you know what, this game right now for me just isn't a game to play because it's I just want to play something actiony. I want to play something that I actually feel like I'm playing.
Yeah,
Whereas Persona is just that, it's that tactics almost. Um, I just didn't. I wasn't feeling it then. But yeah, I looked at it and I was like, I don't know why people like this game, but I just can't. I just couldn't at that time. I just couldn't commit.
yeah. I think once you've been through that kind of thing though, where you've like, right, I've bought this game and I've not really played the full game, and one, have I done the game justice, and two, like, have I got no, have you got value for money? Because I think even whatever you paid at the time you played Persona and however long you played it, I'm sure you've felt same as me. I got a good chunk out of that, played 50 hours, whatever it was, played 30, 40 hours. You know, it was a good, well produced game. That stuff, the music, everything else, the visuals, everything is, I mean, it is a really, really good game, and it's definitely up there for, I would love to go and give this another shot. There's no arguments about that whatsoever. But in terms of what you look at now and how you're how you're planning to fit in a game, time just comes in. Like, time's the first thing that comes into my mind. I look at a game and I'm like, I know I'll enjoy this, but will I complete it?
Yeah, yep, yep,
That's the biggest driver. Like, will I have time to complete this? Is amongst the other things that I'm doing, or will I play this for 10 hours and be like, it's just, I'm just not getting anywhere, or whatever else. So I think
yeah,
that's probably one of the biggest things that, for me, how, we spoke about things when we were younger and how it changed. I mean, I probably didn't play that many games actually in reflection when we've been speaking
mm,
about different games, different classic games. The challenge is still there, by the way. If there's anybody listening at this point, drop some games into the comments for PS1 classic. I think we mentioned it in the last episode, but I'm looking for some recommendations and things for major games that you think you should have played them, back in the early PlayStation days, because I was so sports orientated that I
yeah,
missed out on a lot of kind of classic games. But keep up with the latest games. We've both put a wee list together, a wee note in terms of what games that we have missed. It's not necessarily a backlog of games because we just never picked them up, or we've maybe got them, we've maybe bought them, or have them sitting there, but we've just never actually managed to get to them. So, I'll quickly kind of mention, a few of mine. I've got kind of Control in there, Sifu, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Star Wars Lego, and Dying Light 2. Like, they completely passed me up. Like, just gone.
yeah,
Like say
yep,
Control. I mean, I think Controls, I've even got that on the PS Plus. It's there.
yeah,
So
yep,
I wouldn't count it as a backlog though. It's there. I bought it because it was part of PS Plus, or I added it to the library, mate, at the point. But I don't know what it is I'm waiting for. Like, I don't know what it is. If there's other games or other stuff, and I think at this point it's like, right, I'm I'm not going to get to this.
Yeah. Do you know what I think? See, just reflecting on this conversation, do you know the kind of games I'm sticking to the new, or either seem to be like I did Witcher and I did Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but I'm mixing that in with sports games. I'm kind of thinking to myself, am I playing games the new that are they like sort of short linear stories, and what's short nowadays, 30 years maybe, but more story heavy games. Maybe that's what I'm avoiding now, because I know I've not got that time to be like I need the time to be able to hop off and hop on whenever I can. Like Valhalla. I mean, there's a story in it, but most of the times you're just free roaming and stuff like that, and,
Aye,
and I can just save and go if I need
you
to.
could jump on and do like a quick, I don't know, a quick base or a quick mission,
Aye.
or do a couple of collectibles, knock off some minor quests, and level up a wee bit, and or literally just go on and do one mission, and then buff straight back off again. Otherwise, wanting Peppa Pig on the telly,
Aye, so I'm the same. I had Control on my list as well, and it's a game that you hear all the critics are like, "Oh, this game is amazing," and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, "Oh, I really need to get to that game," but I'm the exact same. I've had I think it was PS Plus. I think you were right, PS Plus collection or whatever what it was on, and I've got it, and I've looked at it and went, "Oh, that looks amazing," but I've just never played it. And
Aye.
again, I just don't understand why either.
No, I don't. I don't know. I've obviously went and bought other games since then, so it's not like, oh, I've not got time at all. We're not saying that in any means. In terms of this, a lot of people maybe listen to this and go, "What are the cheeky day to? At least they've got Friday night to play games, or at least they've got,
Yeah,
time to do this or whatever, or time through the week." Like we're not saying that we don't have time whatsoever. It's just it's difficult to fit it in when you have other elements in there.
yeah.
But these games, like you want to play them all, you just can't.
No, you can't. It's as I was talking about that today actually with somebody. They were talking about TV series and they were saying, "Oh, I'm watching this and I'm watching this," and somebody else was like, "Oh, I'm watching this," and I'm like, I'm just not even watched it now. And I was like, and I've got such a backlog and Netflix stuff, Disney stuff, stuff on Amazon. I'm like, I just know now. I've just got to a point, and I'm like, I'm just not going to watch most of this now. I've got to a point, and I'm like, there is so much stuff out there, and
Aye,
I do not have the time. I,
aye,
I will need to catch up at this when I retire. At this point,
aye,
you know what I
aye.
mean?
Aye, that's exactly the same. That's the same thing with this list. Like, I know I'll maybe eventually get to half of the things on there. I think something is saying that eventually I think I'll get to the Dying Light 2 of that
Yeah.
list. But
Do you want to go through them and talk just about just a wee tiny bit about them?
I would if I knew too much, if I knew a lot about these games. Like, 'cause obviously, people are going to know what they are in terms of Control is what I'm looking at Control. You hear critics talking about Control like, oh, it's this game, and I think a lot of people kind of linked it, not quite Star Wars, but they did link it to that using the Force type
Mm-hmm,
deal
mm-hmm.
thing. I think that's maybe fair to say. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it just didn't. Maybe did I hear that it didn't run quite well or whatever when it
Yeah,
first came out, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
just
That's
I
right.
just wasn't like, do you know what? I'm just going to leave that then. And even though people were like, "Oh, this is amazing," I don't know. I just never really wanted
Do
to
you
play it.
know? Do you know a thing that always sticks with me because it's actually did it with another game that I've got? Was when Control was one of the ones that was like, oh, so there's a PlayStation 5 upgrade, but you need to pay for it.
Aye,
And
aye,
I'm always like, wait a minute here, that's
aye.
that's not right. And
Hold on a minute.
Judgment was the other one, the Yakuza spin off.
Mhm.
They were like, oh, by the way, here's another £30 upgrade for the PlayStation 5. And I'm like, wait a minute, I've just bought
Uh,
this game. Why am
Watch
I
me.
put? I'm going to pay a £30 upgrade. But that's always stuck with me with Control as well. Not that I'm saying that's the reason I don't want to play it, but it's just a bit of that was a bit of a sour taste, especially having a PS5 now.
I think in terms of like, I don't really want to go out too much into the games that we have listed there because we maybe both don't really have a lot to say about a lot of them. I know that
Yeah.
for mine, that Star Wars Lego, like I've no any beef with Star Wars. I think I will maybe eventually pick that up It's
Mhm.
just not the new. Probably, to be honest with you, I was actually really looking forward to it coming out too, but I think at the time it came out, I don't know what I was playing at the time. It might even have still been Elden Ring at the time, just with with kind of streaming that and then moving on to Skyrim on streaming and a couple other things. Like I've got that many games kind of sitting there. I'm like, I don't really want to play 9 games. If I know they're short, but
Yeah,
that's just how my mind is working. When I'm like, I don't know, I don't really want to play all the games. So
yeah.
I think one I would actually quite like to. Well, I don't know if you want to run through your list first, but there's one specifically that I'd like to ask you about in
Aye.
the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Aye, so I'll just read my list out first, just as a quick thing. So my list was Control, Horizon, the new one. Was that Forbidden West? Is it?
That's it, mate.
I
Aye.
didn't write that. Forbidden West, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ghostwire Tokyo, Hitman 3, Resident Evil 8, Immortals Phoenix Rise. That's
So
my.
there's a few on there. I mean, even Ghostwire Tokyo. I was really surprised that you hadn't picked that up. Actually, I know I mentioned that I'd like to speak about Guardians, and I still would, but Ghostwire Tokyo. That's the that's the one. Who is I don't know. I'm going to ask you the developer that made it, but it's the same people that made the Dishonored games. Was it not?
Yeah, that's right. I can't remember what their
You
names
loved
are
the
now. I
game,
can't even
so
think it.
it was really something I was quite surprised that you
Yeah.
didn't pick it up.
No,
What's
no,
holding you back?
I know it's one of the games that I seen and I was like, this looks like Bioshock, and it was the Bethesda team. Can't remember what team it is. Can't It's for the life of me. I can't think it now. And I'm like, that's like two combinations that I should love, but it's just again like as you said, it just came out at this time where I'm just not really playing games
Yeah.
that are like that length or I don't know. It's just a funny time for games. It's for me right now. I don't even. I mean, I don't even know the last game I even bought really. Um, for having a PlayStation 5, you would think you'd want to buy all the games, but I just honestly I don't even know what it is holding me back with half of these games. I mean, I've actually bought the Immortal Phoenix Rise, and it's literally sitting in my wee table thing, still in the cellophane. I've not even opened it. Not even looked at it yet.
I think I
Um,
opened my copy. Yeah, I did, but I've not played mine either. I had at the time. Oh, there was another game. I think it was Valhalla, and
mhm.
I think I played that first. And this
Yeah,
game was
that's right.
there on the list. It was kind of next up, and think I downloaded it at the time on the PS4, and then I ended up playing something else instead because I was like, I don't want the same. No, it's not the same
Aye, no,
game, but I don't want
definitely.
the same idea
No, definitely. You
over
need to get a
again. So
space.
I just parked it, and I've just never went back. But I've no real drive at the minute, so I don't consider that one I've missed because somebody gifted me it, and it's no, I don't even think I can call it backlog anymore. It's just a game that I own, and it just sits there. That's that's a criteria.
It's a statue, yeah.
It's 2 Point Hospital's friend. It just sits right next to another
The
game I've not tried. Uh,
but no, but Ghostwire Tokyo definitely is a game for me as well because I quite like Japan. I like the Japanese aesthetic.
I like
Um, I,
Japan.
I like Japan. Japan's my favourites. Um, I do like the Japanese kind of aesthetic and it's kind of horror-ish as well, which is also kind of I quite like that. I just don't know. It was one of the kind of games. I think some games just kind of pass by you, and like as you said with the Lego game, you're just doing something else at that time, and before you know it, like there's reviews out for a game. You're like, was that supposed to even come out? Like, I didn't even
Aye.
know that
I felt
day
like
was even
that
here
with
yet.
Star Wars because like oh it's going to come out then. And I think it got delayed, and then other games came out, and then because I'm sure it was supposed to maybe be at the year before, but so listen, don't quote me on that. This isn't this isn't the podcast for you. If you think I'm going to give you accurate news and who released games and when they came out, that's no. Speak to somebody else about that because that's not me. I don't really have the knowledge or the memory in this age and time. But just go back to Guardians since I've mentioned it about 5 times and
Mhm.
then start speaking about something else. You like the films, like
Yeah,
1/2, whatever, but
yeah,
you like the films, and obviously Guardians, the game is slightly different. to the films, but you like the, I don't know, the concept. That's it. You like the
Yeah.
concept, but still, again, it's a game that's passed you by. Do you think it was because of not because of the paint and the things like that, but do you think it is because of the reduced time on the console that you've not picked it up,
I,
or
I think with Guardians, I think with it being Square Enix as well, because of the Avengers game, I just didn't. Avengers game just didn't click with me. You know, I played it, I completed the story, and I was like, "This is just what is this? This shouldn't be what this game is."
aye?
So I
Sorry,
think a
Ben.
lot of
I'm really
people,
sorry, Ben. Listen, me,
aye,
you, Avengers
sorry,
for life, but
suit up.
keep an eye out on him.
But I think Guardians, I think a lot of people were the same. I think a lot of people just were like, "Oh no, I'm not getting that because look what they did to Avengers." So I think that's what happened. And then when the reviews came out, a lot of people were like, "No, this is actually good."
I
but,
think
but by that time, the damage was done in my mind. You know, and I was
yeah.
like, I'm not getting it now. I'll just get it. I'll get it at a deep sale whenever I'm ready."
Exactly. It's. I know a lot of people are like, "I'll put your, put money into it when it's ready and support the game, that stuff." But listen, we've just not got the resources or time to be able to be like, "Oh, I'm going to buy every game so that people can make sequels and stuff." It's just not how the world works. So in
No,
terms of
no,
Guardians of the Galaxy, it's such. I mean, I can't speak it any higher on the score, the music. It's brilliant, absolutely perfect. But you would probably know that anyway in terms of the games. Sorry, the films. Excuse me. The films obviously they use music in such a way that you just knew that was coming
yeah,
in the
yeah,
games, but it's just still not enough to catch your attention now, especially when it is mixed reviews. For me, I can't really, I've not really got a leg to stand on it. Most I've not finished it. I started it and I think Far Cry was out, so I really like playing those kind of games. Mostly probably because of the reason that you'd mentioned earlier, where you can hop on, hop off, do one mission or 10. That
yeah, yeah.
you have that step and to be able to actually do that. Whereas I felt like Guardians was one of the games where you really had to go in and you wanted to play a couple hours, and because I was playing it for like weeks and weeks on end, because I was going to play like a few hours of Guardians and then go and play something else, and then the next week I go and play a wee bit of Guardians again, and I did this thing where it's not if I'm not enjoying the game, but if it's like, right, I've played this much, how close am I to finishing? And it
Hmm.
has a chapter system, so I look at the chapters. I don't look at what it's about. I don't look at the description. I just
Yeah,
count how
that's what
many.
it
So it's
is.
like,
Yeah,
you're on chapter 9, but there's 18 chapters. And I'm like, wow.
yeah,
And it might not be that you're halfway, but you can approximately, you can best guess, right, I'm about halfway through this game. I'm just going to have to put it down because I'm not forced myself. I value my own time too much,
no,
so I'm
no,
not going to force myself to play this game when I can't really get to it. So I
no.
think with that,
As
it's
I,
just one of them.
as I said, like, I always say to you, like you need to follow your heart with your game. I know that's pure cheesy, but it's a real thing. Like if you're not feeling a game, I would never force myself to play a game because I just know I'll just hate it. I'll hate it even more, and it's no fair on me because as you said, your time's valuable,
Yeah,
especially older you're getting, and the less time you have for doing your hobbies and stuff. Do you know? I'm just sitting thinking to myself as well. Do you know? I probably don't play as much story games, also because the times that I play, like, because I'm playing with Friday, and I'm usually in a chat with you, and usually some other people as well.
yeah,
So that's probably another reason why I'm not actually playing a lot of story games recently,
yeah, yeah.
because
Do you know,
I just
I thought you were going to go the direction as well there, where you're playing at night a lot. I don't think I've got the temperament to play a lot of story games. Is when it's getting closer to especially this time we're recording at the minute, it's just past midnight. But
yeah.
if you're playing like a story game, then you start to feel a wee bit tired. You're like, I'm just going to go to bed because I don't want to.
Yep.
I can't
Yep.
concentrate. I'm just going to leave it. Whether it is if you're playing, like, I know we keep coming back to FIFA, but if you're playing FIFA or you're playing Fall Guys, an online game or something that doesn't require too much, like, you find yourself you could probably play to 1, 2 in the morning because you're not really concentrating that much on it. Your
Yeah.
your energy is going into like speaking or just talking nonsense, or even if you're playing solo, you're not in a chat or anything, like it's not really requiring that much out of you, so you're able just to kind of distract yourself with the gameplay.
I know that's definitely a thing because like I always used to say to you like you'd be like, are you going to start this game tonight? And I'd be like, no, I don't start story games at like 10 o'clock at night. 'Cause
Yeah, aye.
I just know that I'm like I just going to be like, oh, I need to go to bed soon, I need to go to bed soon, and that's all I can think about, you know. So if I ever started a story game, like I would do it during the day when I had a like maybe like my youngest would maybe had a wee nap, you know, when I had a wee hour, but then again, that's the problem with story games is the first hour. It might not be the first hour. It might be the first 2 hours
Aye.
is this the start, you know, and you just don't have that time, you know.
No, you're trying to pour him a whiskey, so you take like 2 hour naps.
Aye, we back out, Paul.
I think just before we kind of move on to the final kind of closing segment here, I would just probably want to mention one of the games on your list. Obviously, there is a reason
hmm
for not playing it, but it probably is one of the biggest titles you'd maybe say on the list. And Resident Evil 8, obviously,
Yeah.
Horizon. Just quickly, we both bought that. As in, we bought it like together, and I haven't played it yet either.
Cute.
So cute, cheap bastards. No, we bought the game together so that I would, because Gary's not too fussed about playing it yet, and it just makes me a sense to play the game. It's half the cost between the two is, and I can play it when I'm ready, and then Gary can kind of play it when he's done. So we try to do that with some of the bigger games. So that, in case anybody's wondering, that's why that's on the list. But in terms of Resident Evil 8, that was a big game that came out last year. You're a big Resident Evil fan. If you haven't listened to the previous episode, one of the games appears on that list. So go back and check the top favourite PS4 games that we played on that console. But Resident Evil 8, tell the people what's the reason for leaving that just now.
Yeah, so I was hyped for Resident Evil 8, you know, and I was like, I'm getting this. And then MrMac 92 streamed it on Twitch, and I watched him play it. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know if I need to play this anymore. So I have to say, actually, a lot of the times I was kind of clipping and stuff. And I did say to Sean, like, I was watching, but I was like semi watching, if you like. You know, like as soon as it was coming to like story or boss battles, I was kind of like looking away. I was just kind of watching them more, kind of the corridor bits or some of the puzzles and stuff. So I didn't want to like ruin it for myself, but I did see a lot of it. So I'm just, but Resident Evil is a good one because my wife always loves watching Resident Evil games just for the horror aspect.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just trying to give myself some distance before I get to Resident Evil 8. Also, I think me and Resident Evils, I love playing Resident Evils at Halloween time.
Oh, good shout.
Just just gets you a wee bit like horror hyped. You know,
Yeah.
me and my wife always kind of like doing a wee bit of like watching it and stuff during October and
Watching
getting
what?
it.
No, what?
It.
Not really joking.
Uh,
Oh, aye. I shouldn't
um,
be. I shouldn't be playful at 12:15, but it's just one of those.
but aye, no, it's something I'll definitely pick up. I just try to keep myself a wee bit of space so I feel like I forget it.
Aye. Listen, that shouldn't take that long to be fair. We're over 30 now. Memory's a fleeting thing, in my opinion. Anyway, that's for sure. So we've wrapped up, obviously, in terms of the gaming in our busy lives, and obviously at the start there it was mostly focused on the parenting side, which was the first kind of main driver behind coming up with the idea that we had for the episode. I'm quite glad that we done it. I thought we kind of touched on a lot of points. If anybody's got any thoughts or opinions or things like that, just send them to Gary. And if you've got any nice compliments, just post them below in the comments. No more joke. No, obviously, if anybody wants to add to the discussion, we'd love to have some different things, or even if there's any questions, keep an eye on the Twitter. We've got we sent out a few a wee call for some questions. We maybe don't have the reach at the minute for that kind of thing, and that's fine. You know, people are busy as well, but and Twitter buries all the posts. But
Yeah, it's
in
something
terms,
we'd like to incorporate into
yeah,
that.
yeah, we've got a good system at the minute with using Discord for keeping both of us organised in terms of logging ideas or making notes. And if there's any questions raised, we'll be able to kind of post them in there, and we can get to them during any kind of episode. So we did get a response from our hoodie, and we did read it out on the last episode. But I was speaking to Gary, and I did think that we maybe didn't do the response justice, largely because we were both absolutely shattered.
Mhm.
Sleep was falling at us at that point, and it was
Yeah,
just
we
like,
were 3 hours in.
it was like that. They like the Family Guy sketch, like, what's where, like, rainy, and then it just
Aye.
cuts back. That was literally what we done. There was just nothing even worth really answering. So I felt like we kind of owe Hoodie a wee bit in terms of the response
Yeah,
to his
definitely,
question,
definitely.
specifically about the game. So Ghost Recon Breakpoint, we get that right. We
Yes,
got it
yes,
right
we got
this
it right
time.
this time.
We got it
Yep,
right.
yep,
We
yep.
liked we liked the previous title. We played a lot of it. We both has finished it. But Breakpoint, I don't know, it just wasn't quite for us. What was your first thoughts in terms of when I said, oh, we didn't speak about the game? What do you think we missed out on?
I think we forgot to actually, because the question was what was a game that was actually bad, but we thought was well, we perceived as quite good.
Together, playing together, we
Together,
enjoyed it, and it
yeah,
was
together.
what was it? What wasn't a good game, but we enjoyed playing together. That was the
Yeah, yeah,
phrase
yeah.
we used.
That's that exactly. And I think that's the bit that we actually forgot. I think we just kind of like, aye, it's not a bad game, right? See you later.
Aye, aye, it's a bad
um,
game. See ya.
I think we Breakpoint was, you can really say it with any game. Any game's a good game if you play it with your pals. Um,
I think so as well. I think, do you know, it helped us because we were streaming it. I feel
yep.
because it just let us have. There was a lot of downtime, and basically we were just doing this like what we're doing right now, just talking about nothingness.
Mhm.
You know, we have one of the highlights on my Twitch channel is just 30 minutes of us talking rubbish. I think actually talking to Waxing Moon at the time
And LAQ.
and Ellie Kale, that's right. And we were kind of talking about Nova Scotia, and we started, and it was just laughter and nonsense for half an
Yep.
hour. And because I
Yep.
think we were actually planning on wrapping up the stream, and I don't think you could, like, that would never have happened if we were playing It Takes Two, or
No. No.
90% of the other games that we've played together in any capacity. It just wouldn't work because you're on a helicopter or you're on a boat, or you're going across the map, but it's such a large map that it felt like 50% of the game we played, we would be in a helicopter or looking for a helicopter because it was just
Yep.
so big. So I
Yeah.
think that's maybe one of the negatives. Plus,
Definitely.
the biggest negative was the fact that, well, I could never figure out how to get the next mission or what the next mission actually was.
No, no, totally, totally. I think the game did have a lot of problems. Like just playing it, you could tell straight away. It had been out. I don't know. Was it even out a year? I don't know if it was out a year by the time we played it. No, but you started it and just stuff was popping all over the map. It was like they didn't even. I don't even know if you even did the first mission, and it had about 57 things pop up in the map. Like go here, go here, go here, and you're like, wait a
Aye,
minute, like.
loads of these wee
I've
dots.
I've just turned this on. As you said, the map was incredibly huge, but empty as well.
I
Where
mean, we would be playing that and it'd be like, right, what do we do? I don't know. What mission do you have? Oh, I have the mission, and you would say the mission name, and I'm like, what one is that? I don't know where that is. Oh, it's to the right of the mountain. Like, what mountain?
yeah,
And we're obviously, I mean, at the time we were quite nervous as well. We're playing games. We're on Twitch. We're trying to, keep the conversation going, but at the same time, you're trying to make sure that you're playing the game and enjoying it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
when we are trying to do that and you know, that's maybe no fair on the game, but I still think it was that convoluted that it should have been easier. You know, I was maybe talking
Aye.
and letting you trying to organise it, and you're like, fuck, I don't know what to do, what to pick.
Aye. No, but I mean, if you compare it to the first one, Wildlands it was like, go here, go here, go here. And you're like, aye, cool, no problem. Aye, go to nowhere to go.
Aye.
Also, the map was smaller, but it was large, but it was smaller than what that was.
Yeah, you're
Um,
still going for helicopters because it is the easiest way to
aye,
travel. It just was, but at the same time, you're playing this game that was such a like vast open game. It just should have been a lot easier for direction wise, like or split it
yep,
up into areas or something. But we'd be
yep,
like, all right, I'm going to do this story, and then it'd be like, "Right, so what are we doing again? Like, I don't
aye,
even know.
aye.
I mean,
No,
the best thing about that game, the fondest thing in my memory is, for one, that night that we had that I just mentioned there, and the fact that we managed to get kills.
yep,
That was
exactly,
it.
exactly. Aye, no, I mean, that was a 10 out of 10 for me.
10 out of 10 kilt simulator 101.
I think a good thing about that game was, I mean, we're bashing it here, but I feel the good point in that game was the actual just the gunplay and stuff like that is good in the games. I mean, it's a Tom Clancy game, so they obviously need to go into that, but I think that is good. I mean,
Aye,
try to go into a base I mean, we always, me and you play games the same with Assassin's Creed games or whatever. We always try to take out as much people as possible stealthily, and then at the end, if it goes mental, then you've hardly got anybody left.
aye. I think that's
Uh,
what touches on what who did ask the question. Obviously, the
yep,
what's not a good game, but it's fun. Like that's fun as much as the shooting mechanics are good, but it's still it's more fun than it is good. Like you know, you're in
yeah, yep,
remember that control tower mission that we'd done where you're in the control tower and you're just trying to stay alive and the windows are all getting smashed in and you're trying to shoot everybody and
yep.
watching the stairwell and watching all about and shooting the helicopters and everything else. Like honestly, even talking about it, I'm like, I want to go and play that game now. Like because it was
Mm-hmm.
fun. It wasn't a good game, but you know, it wasn't a good game, but it was fun. I think that was the perfect answer, and I was quite surprised that it didn't actually come sooner to us because we went back and forward a few times before we landed on that game. And
Yeah,
again, obviously, we can blame tiredness for the reason that we didn't answer it in the last episode, but I just felt like we owed the writer Rudy a wee quick summary
I
and to
know,
touch a few
definitely.
points of that game.
No, definitely. It's we didn't do it justice the last one, so I'm glad it was a long one the last time. We'll just keep blaming that. We ran out of
Aye.
stamina.
We were like 3 hours off deep, and it was like half one in the mornings. We're like, do you know what? Aye, hoodie. It was it was the run game at first. When it
Yeah.
was Wildlands, and then 5 minutes later, oh, it wasn't Wildlands
Oh,
by the way. It
oh,
was
great
actually
point.
it was Ghost Recon. So yeah,
Aye,
you can.
aye.
Thanks for writing in, mate.
Aye, aye. No, but seriously, thanks for writing in. I like these question things. It just gets everybody engaged, and it's nice to just have different wee thoughts speckled into a wee episode, isn't it? But
Aye,
no,
it helps break up our nonsense, and obviously just helps maybe see what they know about us or what they would like to know about us. That's
yeah,
probably the main
yep,
thing. I'd love to have people kind of writing in as well. Maybe in the future that's would be something that'd be a wee bit more regular or that. But you know, we just at the minute we just enjoy the fact that you know there's people listening to the episodes and you know taking the time to give us some feedback.
the
It's been great managing to set aside some time to try and kind of chase this dream. Obviously, we mentioned last episode we've had some fan art and you know we're the kind of production side where we've been speaking you know behind the scenes on some of the stuff. It's been a good project that the two of us have been involved in.
Yeah, I think when we first did it, you know, when you're trying to think of ideas, you're looking at other podcasts, but they're like, we can't copy that, and you don't want to copy it, but you know, you're coming up with ideas, and you're like, who done it first, and but actually, as the kind of weeks are going on, we're starting to get more and more ideas and more. And I'm actually starting to look at it. I'm actually quite excited about some of the kind of topics. And
Aye,
you know, last week I felt was quite daunting when we first talked about doing it. but
Yeah.
I thought it was necessary as well, just to kind of give people a wee like, oh, this is what kind of games they like. But I thought like the research side was quite daunting, but actually doing it is actually fine, you know.
Aye.
And I think I've not heard it yet, but I thought it was quite a good format. Obviously, no every episode's got to be like that, but I thought it was quite a nice format. I like going down the 10-1 and just to just get everybody a wee bit known as better and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. If you haven't listened to that podcast, then please, obviously, when you finish, go and queue that one up. Try and check it out as soon as you can, or if you've already watched it, then leave a like and a wee comment, wee review. It helps us a lot. It helps us get some fresh listeners and some new listeners, and hopefully they can provide some feedback as well. So we're trying to kind of grow something as much as it's a passion project, and we're not really, the end game isn't to have thousands of people listening or anything like that. That's not really what our,
Just
what's my
4.4 billion.
4.4 billion views. Who do you better start? Just pick episode 1. It's already got a small handful in it, so you pick that. But setting some small goals. We'd love some more subscribers, obviously, on the YouTube channel. That'd be great. But in terms of this and what it is, we're setting our sights low, and it's just put it out there and see what goes, because it is purely a passion project. So
also, very, very professional voice acting in episode 2 as well.
Very professional voice acting. I'm worried. I'm actually unsure about where you're going with that one, actually.
Number 1.
Oh, that the voiceover. It was spot on, and that was all done live as well. No editing. No, it was perfect. It was a good touch. We obviously we put that in. That was actually one of the first things that we thought of before we even came up with the games, actually, because we just wanted that distinction. But we won't meander and keep you much longer. We appreciate the time that you've been here, and hopefully you can check us out on our future episodes. Leave us a wee like, comment, subscribe, like everybody else usually.
Smash that like button.
Smash it. Head over to Twitter. We like some live feedback, so a wee comment would be fantastic. A wee question would be absolutely perfect. So I've been Mr. Mac, Gary Moore with us here. See you next time.
Goodbye, children.
Hi everyone, thanks for listening. This has been the Vault Dwellers Podcast. If you'd like to keep up with myself and Mr. Gary Moore, Gary is on Instagram at Gary Moore's Art, and you can find myself over on Twitter and Twitch at MrMac92. And a very special shout out to a very talented artist, our good friend Hoodie, for creating the logos used on the Vault Dweller Podcast. Keep up with Hoodie at the Penny Marvels on social media.